Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Astrological Intentions. I am your host, Alex Reevy, along with the stickler herself, Sandy Reevy.
I overdid it.
And it is episode 319, the week of September 2nd. Let's get right into the transits. We start the week off with September 2nd, Monday, new moon at 11 degrees Virgo.
The plan gets delayed with purpose.
And Mars square Neptune retrograde.
No energy.
Then September 4th, Wednesday, Mars ingress Cancer.
Night charts rejoice.
And Friday, September 6th, Mercury square Uranus retrograde.
Third pass.
And Saturday, the 7th, Sun opposing Saturn retrograde.
Closest to the Earth.
Then in Talisman times, we have our September Talisman of the month. On the horizon are Astrology forecast, cheat sheet, a CWS webinar, and of course, our retreats. Then in our house, Sandy and I are recapping the Burning Dude trip, the makeshift mini farm version of Burning Man. Stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions.
I say go do you. Now travel far, share your stories and earn your scars. It's you. Say you are the one you will answer to when this life is done. Don't waste a minute, jump in the river. Wash yourself clean so you can deliver you. The story of you, the story.
Hello, stickler.
I did. I've not been sleeping that great during this Mercury retrograde, right? And so I just was like, oh, I've got a great idea. And I searched for these stickers.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed a variety of them for the Egypt retreat.
Right.
And got them. And so they're all coming in delayed. And I'm like,
now you don't really need them.
now I'm like, really? I've got another idea. I have a better idea now. It took too long to get here. I'm like, I've got a better idea. So I'm
now
sending them all back to where they belong.
So you're a stickler. All right. Well, welcome in, everybody. It is episode 319, week of September 2nd. Going direct to you all. This is a message from an anonymous email.
Okay.
Good morning, Alex and Sandy. I wanted to reach out to let you know how much I enjoy your podcast. I recently heard you say that your listeners are your soul food. That's exactly how I feel about you.
Oh.
I had my first reading with Sandy in October of 2020 and was blown away by her magic.
Oh.
Since then, I can't start my week without listening to your weekly forecast. Thank you for your ongoing love and energy that you share with all of us.
Oh my gosh, it just gave me total goosebumps all the way down to my feet, which when it happens, I have to say it out loud because that means something about that comment is really
connected to
you. And reverberates through my whole body. So thank you for that.
Yes, it is our soul food. You are our soul food. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. So shall we move into the transits?
Yeah, this is a very interesting week. We got a new moon, we got some squares, and some oppositions.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one opposition.
Let's
get into it. Yeah.
So today, September 2nd, new moon at 11 degrees Virgo.
So here we go with the new moon, setting our intentions around Virgonian things. This happens at 8:56 p.m. Chicago time. So the sun meets up with the moon at 11 Virgo. Now, Virgo, what rules Virgo? Mercury. And Mercury has just stationed direct. Thank you, Mercury.
Now you can sleep.
But it's still in shadow. It's still in shadow, meaning it still has to travel over an area of the zodiac that it's been over
recently.
1, 2, and now the third time.
Right.
But it is 17 degrees away from the sun, and now Mercury is a morning star. So this is a Promethean type of energy with this new moon. About, a early announcement, kind of something that's announcing something about a leader, something about the king, the sun being the place of leadership.
And so can you explain a little bit about what you mean by Promethean?
The two brothers, Prometheus and Epimetheus, and Prometheus is the forward thinker.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So he's the one
he's coming up before the sun. So he's in this forward position now. That's what he did in his retrograde period.
Mm-hmm.
He went from Epimetheus in the night sky, right, after the sun
Mm-hmm.
and switched and is retrograde and meeting up with the sun and then coming up in advance. So we can see Mercury in the morning before the sun comes up.
So it's
So-
a calling for us to start thinking ahead because maybe the
Yes.
plans start getting delayed, but it's meaningful.
It's meaningful, but here's the delay. We've got the sun and the moon opposing Saturn, right? Because the sun and the moon is in this 11-degree area of Virgo,
Mm-hmm.
opposing Saturn retrograde at about 16 Pisces. So there's this opposition. We'll talk about that on Saturday when that exact sun is
Direct.
opposing the Saturn. And that's the delay. So, but because it's Saturn, because it's in Pisces, there's a purpose here. So we don't get our pants in a tizzy. Let's breathe through this. We can find out more over the next 2 weeks when this moon reaches this full potential and the moon goes into Pisces, meets up with Saturn. It's like, okay, this could have something, and this is Labor Day. This could have something to do with our, United States elections.
Mm-hmm.
So planting the seed of some new information, some new news that is like, like the Scooby-Doo, and then something gets revealed over the next 2 weeks.
Ruh-roh. Okay. So then there's a second transit happening September 2nd as well. Mars square Neptune retrograde.
So this is a square. I have to pay attention to this particularly because it's making a square to my natal sun, which is the ruler of my chart.
Mm-hmm.
So this is no energy. And thank God it's at 11:10 p.m. That's the exact partile aspect. Partile means exact at the same degree, 29 degrees of this mutable sign of Gemini where Mars is and where the Mercury retrograde is at 29 Pisces. So there's no sulfur on your stick to strike the match. Have you ever seen though? Have you ever run into a match that doesn't have enough of the flammable,
the sulfur,
the sulfur, right? Oh my gosh!
No, but I've tried to strike a match and it just crumbles off and falls to the ground.
Yeah, so watch taking the easy route. That might be a bit disastrous where you can get lost.
Mm-hmm.
You can think, you know what? I'm going to try this shortcut. And you get going on it and you're like, whoa, the streets are like not adjacent to where you were headed. Something about that.
Right.
It's kind of can be unknown and a bit fearful because Mercury here in the Gemini area is describing what it is that's happening here. So I plan on just sitting in water. I don't have a pool, but I'm going to take a bathtub this day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like calming self down. And it's Labor Day and it'll be right around bedtime or I'll be sleeping already. So yeah, no energy.
Okay.
Blah.
So a little bit of self-care might be good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Wednesday, September 4th, we have Mars ingress into Cancer.
Right. Because Mars the night on Monday was at the last degree. And so here we are at around 3 p.m. Mars moves into the next sign of Cancer. And he's really in he's in fall here. But he does have triplicity rulership in night charts. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by night sect charts is if the sun, when you were born, on the day you were born, that the sun was below the horizon.
Right.
Right. So you'd have to, even though you might have been born at, say, 7:30 p.m., but if you were born in the summer,
that could make a big difference.
That's the sun still above the horizon. So we do have to pay attention.
After sunset.
After sunset and before sunrise. So night charts, like I'm a day chart. You're a day chart. Mm-hmm. So this could be a little bit more of a difficulty for day chart people.
Okay.
But this becomes the superpower for the sun below the horizon charts. It's the triplicity ruler, which means it's in harmony with the tribe. It's to be the authority in the group. But it's also in bounds from 0 degrees to 7 degrees. And this is from this date on September 4th till September 18th. And the bounds means that he's manager who knows how to get things done. Right. And so otherwise, the rest of us, the rest of us day people, we could feel worn down and sorrowful,
right.
which is the description of Vedius Valens's description of when a planet is in its fall. Now, it's going to be here for a while. I want to be aware here. Pay attention to what happens on the 4th, everybody, in your natal chart, particularly if you have any planets in Cancer. I do. I have the moon there, so I'm very cognizant of what this could be. So I say be aware because this Mars is retrograding this year. Mars retrogrades once about every 26 months. So not every year. And so this is the year in December that Mars will be retrograding. So it's going to retrograde in Leo at 6 Leo. I know this is a lot of detail here, but it's Virgo season. That this Mars will retrograde December 6th at 6 degrees of Leo and then moves back into the Cancer area of the chart.
Okay.
But only goes to 17. So I have a 0 moon Cancer. So I have to pay attention to the 4th, September 4th, because it'll be right on my 0, right? As soon as it moves in. But it's not coming back because it comes back to 17. So it doesn't go to 16, right? And so that whole going back into Cancer is from January 7th to April 19th.
Okay, that's long.
Right. He's retrograde for 70 days, 70. Yeah. So anybody that has a Mars as a time lord, that's me. I do. Has to pay attention to this. Anybody who has a Aries rising or a Scorpio rising has to pay attention to this. Anyone that has really important placements between 6 degrees of Leo and backwards back to 17 Cancer have to pay very close attention in any of those oppositions or squares.
Okay.
So yeah, that you might want to, hop on a call and get a 1 hour reading to look at this Mars energy because it's going to start giving us a subject matter. It may give us a subject matter on the 4th, but it also may wait until it gets to that 17 degrees of Cancer, which is going to be about 30 days. So probably the early part of October. So but anyway, I think that's a good thing to watch is if Mars is an important player in your chart, he's going retrograde, folks, and not very often.
Right.
So this is something to maybe you want to talk to your astrologer about.
Right.
How can you prepare?
Right.
And actually going to say that even though we're traveling and doing retreats throughout this fall period, there is slots that I'm what do we call that? Static. I'm staying with my friend in her Greek island, and I'm going to be I've opened my schedule up to some reading. So,
right. So you have some availability during that time.
Yeah.
All right. So we have Friday, September 6th, Mercury square Uranus retrograde.
Yep. Remember, Uranus went retrograde the week before. So now Uranus is retrograde.
Yep.
So we got Pluto, Neptune, Uranus,
and
Saturn. Jupiter's not retrograde until October.
Okay. But yeah, a lot of them.
A lot is going on. And Mercury is now making this third and final pass to the Uranus in a square. So if your recent plans or ideas have legs, now is when you can move them forward. Go ahead and move that chess piece. So whatever that strategy move that you were considering, that might have sounded like that's out of the box, right? Even if you feel a bit unsteady about it, it might be that you just need practice.
Okay.
Have you heard the recent dad joke?
No.
Because, astrologers say that Uranus is, about outside the box and especially with the Mercury there,
Mhm.
Mercury square Uranus, we would say, think outside the box, right?
Right.
Which is like this old adage. It's like, think about something else, right?
Mhm.
Like use a different word. But the dad joke,
No, I don't know it.
the dad goes to his boss's funeral and leans up really close to
The casket?
the casket and goes, "Who's thinking outside the box now, Gary?"
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's funny.
Anyway, kind of that
Okay.
thinking outside the box. This
Yeah.
is kind of it. The third
Yeah.
pass
Yeah.
is like,
That is a good one. All right. So do we have anything else? Any other pointers on the Mercury square Uranus?
no, but anything that is like kind of that stimulation, like aha thought, like, oh, wow, that's something I can do. I might have legs.
Okay.
You know,
Sounds
we have
good.
2 legs. We have 2 legs. Spiders have multiple legs. Start using them and moving in the direction, because now Mercury is direct, and it's the final thing to say, you know what? Nah, I've like the stickers, right? I was like, oh, this is a great idea. I've got a great plan. Then they took too long to get here. And by the time they get here, I'm like, nah, has
Over.
no legs. Now I have to use my legs to get them back to where they came from.
Right. All right. So Saturday, September 7th, we have Sun opposing Saturn retrograde.
All right. So anytime the sun makes an aspect in an opposition, 180 degrees, to either a outer planet, that's Pluto, Neptune, Uranus,
Mm-hmm.
or the 2 superior planets, Jupiter, Saturn, we're talking about Saturn here, that planet is closest to the Earth.
Right.
So if there's any nights that you can get out your, Orion telescope, or even your binoculars might work, it's the closest it can get to the Earth. So you might
Okay,
be able
cool.
to see the ring that we
Yeah,
photographed that.
definitely with a telescope, but I think it
Yeah.
gets way harder with binoculars. I don't think you'll be able to see the
But let's
rings.
see if it's the closest it's going to get. It happens once a year. And it's not always on this date. So it's kind of also like the sun in Virgo opposing the Saturn in Pisces is like, because it's so close to you, grab your dream. Grab it
Mhm.
like you could touch it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's kind of like wish upon a star. It's like, oh, I think I can go ahead and just take this. So see what is possible. Follow the steps that you might need to climb to build up some muscle, right? Like Saturn is about, hey, you want that? Work toward it.
Mm-hmm. Mhm.
Let's keep at it until you can get that up the hill, right? So I don't mind this, but this is part of the new moon, with the moon and the sun making that opposition to Saturn.
Right.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, it's a squarey and new moony type of week. So
Yeah.
also remember, any of the degrees and signs that we're discussing here, you can always follow along with these transits personally as well. Head over to the website, download your natal chart. Link is in the show notes. Let's move into talisman times. We don't have any upcoming talismans. However, we're also re-announcing our September talisman of the month. And that is to nurture my mind with clarity and precision. I communicate with discernment, finding beauty in the details, and strength in my connections. This is Moon in Virgo, square Mercury in Gemini. And it's a very Gemini type of talisman. So if you are interested in that talisman, it's a special price on the website right now during the month of September. So let's head over and on to the horizon, where we just finished up our September astrology forecast and the cheat sheet. So if you are a part of our Patreon community, head over there now. And if you have not joined yet, I highly recommend it, because just for $5 a month, you can get the astrology forecast and the cheat sheet every month to plan, to have it right in front of you at your desk. It's printable, and you can also take notes and have an idea of how these transits really affect your day-to-day. So also, September 11th, if you do sign up for Patreon, it is a wonderful time to join our webinar that's coming up for the 2024 Eclipses, and that is happening on September 11th. So join in. We'd love for you to sign up for the Big Dipper so that you can get access to that webinar. All right. So we also have just I think 1 or 2 spots left for the Egypt retreat. That's October 9th through the 19th.
Woo-woo.
If you are interested, we have plenty of information on what's going on, what's the itinerary, how is it going to go, what should you expect. And that is all those links to those videos are in the show notes. And one more plug about the 2025 Mexico retreat. This is going into the basics of astrology and human design. January of next year, 2025. And that is a really wonderful time to relax, regenerate, and, be right on the Sea of Cortez. You are literally just a staircase down, or, a staircase up from the Sea of Cortez with beautiful food, a wonderful saltwater pool and jacuzzi, your own palapa. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so far we're starting to have our signups, and everybody that signed up has been there before multiple times.
Right.
It's just a good time because it's January 4th. It's a Saturday, the 4th to the week later on the 11th. It's always a good time after all the hullabaloo of the holidays and everybody else. And it's usually a time of quiet in some of the, corporate world, or if you're a teacher and you're not back at school yet, or the kids aren't back yet. And my special guest is Christine Flowers, who is teaching human design. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool.
It's really cool. Really cool. So we've got that on the website that's ready to sign up and get your spot. Get your room scheduled.
True. All right. So let's move into our house where we are back from our Burning Dude trip. And it is our makeshift / mini farm version of Burning Man, which was so funny to bring all these kind of weird, strange elements of Burning Man to the middle of nowhere, Indiana.
Right. That we didn't even have cell service on the way there.
No, we didn't. So on this farm, my uncle's farm, your brother's farm, and
now let's make sure that there's not a stable with pigs and chickens.
No, it's not like an active farm. It's just pretty much land.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
we could call it an ATV and dirt bike farm.
Yeah.
Because that's what they
swimming in
use
a beautiful lake party and jumping off and bands come in. A band came in.
Yeah. So I think that we should definitely discuss the band because, it was wonderful when we arrived. They had set up 2 huge, event tents, the white ones that are held up by poles, and
it looked really like a Cirque du Soleil kind of thing.
Yeah, it did. And that was with, multiple park benches, or not park benches, picnic benches underneath so everyone could eat the delicious food that they had planned. I think it was 230 something. He
guesstimated 250 people.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's so much land there. So it just, part of it turned into a little mini parking lot that they had, some generators going so that people could go and find their cars at the end of the night. But in the morning, we helped you set up a lemonade stand, and we were just helping getting set up, getting the stage ready, putting a backdrop on there, and so tell us a little bit about this band that showed up.
So they're called the Menus, and they're literally 42 years of a band of a.
Oh, okay, not 42 years old.
No.
They're more
they're
in there
60.
Okay.
Yeah, and my other brother is really good friends with the main guy, Goldie.
The lead singer.
Yeah.
And they
Goldie.
went to high school together.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And my brother, Doug, him and his wife and his kids have been following this band. They're a Midwest, pretty popular band.
Mm-hmm.
And they're a cover band, but they're pretty good. I mean, I know
they're very good.
You think
this was my first time watching them,
Mhm.
and oh my gosh, I told my aunt and uncle, I was like, I think they just got a new fan. I am like so incredibly shocked and excited about this band because one, I've never laughed so much before. This lead singer was just like, he was a sharpshooter when it came to like, he would just grill the entire audience. And it was so absolutely hysterical. So he's first started up on stage and he's got these like, basically like butt tight boxers on that it was like Frosted Flakes or something like that, like, with the logo and everything on it, and a little like mini crop top. And oh my gosh, it was just like, okay, I've never seen a lead singer like that before. But the rest of the band, I mean, the way that they were so talented actually made it even cooler because their outfits, you would have been like, oh, are they okay? But this lead singer throughout the entire concert would go behind, like during instrumental breaks, would run behind the stage.
He'd jump off the side.
Yeah, off the side, run behind the stage, and somehow switch the boxers into other boxers. I don't know. I hope no one was watching behind the scenes.
No,
on
he has
this
one of those pop-up dressing rooms.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But then he probably, like, how many outfits did he?
They just hang over the edge. I've seen it because usually sometimes I've seen him like, oh my gosh, when Andrew was 14 years old, Andrew's almost 41. I took Andrew to see him in Ohio.
Wow.
And he will have one of those pop-up, foldable things that and he goes in there, changes and comes out and with a wig or different colored glasses or a hat.
Was so entertaining. Just even that element of it. But then, there are cover bands that they do all of these like, really great old
like rock and
and roll songs. But we brought in a little Burning Man element to this concert. So here are 250-ish country folk, or Midwestern folk, because some of them are from Cincinnati.
We're probably the only city folk there.
Right.
The three of
Big
us. City
folk.
Yeah.
If you consider Cincinnati city, then, there were plenty of city people there. But so, and a lot of them like work, either in construction or, they're like
laborers. They're tradesmen.
Right. And so it was just like real fun, good time. But we bring out this.
So I talked to Goldie. I go up on stage before when he's setting up because he's setting up these balloons.
Right. And the balloons, I think we already talked about here in the podcast. But basically what he does is he has a little like razor blade or something attached to one of his. And the balloons are quite high. So you think it's just like a
decoration,
kind of decoration, but they forgot to like inflate the balloons with helium. So they're like kind of hanging down and they got some confetti in it.
And they're on a string.
String. But it's really high, like well over your head. And so what Goldie does throughout the concert, when he's feeling it, he just does a super duper high kick. And I don't even know how he reaches it, but he gets the balloon and he pops it. And then all of a sudden this confetti starts coming down and it's hysterical. Literally, as I was watching the entire show, I would be looking away right at that moment. And here I hear a pop with the confetti coming down. I'm like, darn it, I keep missing it. How does he do it? And then, so you, like maybe a few songs into the concert, you bring up a bag to Goldie.
No, I had talked about it when he was setting up.
Okay.
And I said, hey, I know you change clothes, wear crazy, crazy things that don't match and don't seem like a man thing to wear at all.
Yeah.
But that's a shtick for the last 40-something years, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, I've gone to Goodwill and and Salvation Army places and gathered some really crazy clothes. And what I'd like to do is have people come up, one person at a time, like get dragged up to put their hand in this big black garbage bag and pull something out. And they have to, whatever they pull out, they have to put on.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, yeah, you're a girl after my own heart. So he would help people, get up and pull something. And so, oh my gosh, that was funny.
Well, he would also like grill people as they were coming up.
Oh, if somebody walked by the stage on the dance floor, or somebody would cough, or the farmer that lives across the street from this property,
who smoked probably a pack and a half a day.
Probably a pack just sitting in his chair at the event.
Yeah.
Constant cigarette.
Oof.
And Goldie kept like, dude, how many is that for you? Okay, let's see. Let me see the colors of your hands. Like just making digging. And it was funny because that's his shtick.
Right.
But if you walked by and he would just go, hey, dude, he's so quick and he's so on point that this is all his wit, right? Because nothing was pre-planned, right?
No. And like the way that he could be so attentive and like aware of people's mannerisms as he's on stage and performing and doing high kicks. This guy has to have like, a colossal brain of like ADHD and like super creativity because it was just really impressive. So anyway, the things that we had in there was like a full-on leotard, a tie-dye leotard. We had old lady type of tops that were kind of like, like a little gauze with all these patterns. We had tube tops, we had hats, we had glasses. We had a
big Snoopy or Garfield kind of long skirt that actually Rocco ended up picking out.
My boyfriend grabbed that. He thought it was a t-shirt, came out to be a calf-length dress on him.
Skirt, yeah.
Skirt on him. And yeah, he rocked it. And I was like, I look over at him, I'm like, I am so proud of you. Like, here we are in the middle of the country. And you're in a dress and you're rocking it. It was just so like, not many men would do that.
No, right? In fact, he had his hair in a man bun.
Right.
And all of a sudden I saw him with his skirt on, and he takes his hair out and he fluffs it up, wearing like long hair now.
Right. Oh, and trust that Goldie had him on lock.
Yeah.
And was just throwing some really funny stuff out at him. And yeah. Oh my gosh.
And then my mom got called up.
Right.
And Goldie did. I mean, he knows my mom, and he would go, Mrs. Langenbrunner, am I going to see you at church tomorrow? He goes, yeah. I'm the altar boy. I'm going to show up tomorrow early.
Yeah.
Right. And stuff like that. And so anyway, my mom got called up to get the bag, and she's like, no, because she was also helping me pick some of these things when I would be in Cincinnati.
She knew what was in there.
She's like, oh, no, I don't want to go. I'm like, Mom, I'll go up with you because I know everything in the bag.
Yeah. So
we picked through it, and I saw the blue scarf that was really pretty.
Right.
That I thought maybe I want when it's over. And so she just wrapped that around her white blouse, and she was part of the game.
Yeah.
But like hats and a unicorn hat and glasses and like wingy glasses.
It was so much fun. So anyway, everyone is like now participating in this. Not like absolutely everyone.
We didn't have 250.
We didn't have 250 items, but a lot of people were like coming up, being brave, wanting to be super creative and, outrageous. And it was so like Goldie, the lead singer, was like, oh my gosh, I want to come back to this every single year. I love this place. It feels like home. Like this, all you people are so like crazy and kooky, and I love it. And invite us back next year. Mm-hmm. So I think this burning dude is going to start becoming more and more of a thing. And who knows, it might just eclipse Burning Man by someday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My brother has done this. I don't know. He didn't do it during COVID, obviously, but he's done it in the past, like in 2016, 17, 18, 19. And he would get a band in and they'd be okay. But this, I think more and more people were coming to this because they're like, Greg hired the menus? Holy moly. Like like people.
Oh, and then we found out that there's a Netflix documentary about him and the band.
Did you see that?
No.
It's not about the band. It's just about him.
Oh, it's just about him.
Yeah. I watched it.
Okay.
And it's about that his wife had said to him at some point, you don't do anything during the day. All your gigs are at night because you're a band leader, right?
Uh-huh.
And she said, you got to start doing something during the day that's creative. And he said, then some years ago, his mom got dementia and his mom went into a nursing home.
Oh.
And he would go into the nursing home to visit his mom, during the day because, and when his mom would fall asleep in the chair, he would go then and meet and talk with some of the other residents.
Mm-hmm.
So he started doing songs and singing. And pretty soon, all of a sudden now he brings his whole gear. He's got it on this like roller thing that he shows up to all these nursing homes in Cincinnati and around that area, Dayton and Columbus. And they hire him and he's setting up his one-man band with a microphone and an amp and all of he wears some kooky things. He doesn't change all the time.
Oh, man.
And here you see all the people getting wheeled in, and they're sitting there, and they
the
look
amount
like,
of energy he brings, I'm sure, makes a big
and
difference.
he knows, like, hey, Mrs. Samuelson, how are you doing today? And the lady's sleeping in like, oh, I see that you're really enjoying my performance, right? I'm really happy about that. And the lady's like squished up over in the corner sleeping, and so he said. And I cried. I cried when I watched this. And it makes me want to cry right now that his mom passed.
Aww.
But he continues because he sees that when he plays some of these rock and roll songs that are from the 70s and the 80s,
right.
that
Brings
these
them
people
back.
are, some of them are like just sitting in their wheelchair, nodding. And you see one lady get up and do some little foot moves. He said, I can bring joy to someone that doesn't have anything to look forward to.
Mm.
And it's called Goldie and the Goldie, the old folks home rock and roller or something.
Wow.
It's
cool.
20 minutes long. It's not even long.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
cool. But still, I mean, he's got some recognition, and it was just really cool to be in the midst of someone who is so unapologetically fun and weird and strange. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that was
and we spent the night, 2 nights in a campsite. We did a beautiful campsite. We had, of course, my brother has tons of ATVs and dirt bikes and 200 acres of trails, and we did hop. I know that you guys went out and got caught one night.
Oh my goodness! Well,
I went out around 1:00 in the morning with a golf cart of all things.
Yeah,
and everybody else had razors, and you guys have a golf cart.
Well, us and one more golf cart. So there was a razor, which is they call it like a 2x2 or something like that, where it's like, think of a 4-wheeler, but it's like in a cage. Have you ever seen like people like do like the dunes where there's like a cage around them, and then like you kind of like there's a driver and then a passenger right on the side. It was one of those, which can like flip backwards, and like you're all strapped in and everything like that.
Right,
and then
there's several of those out there. I mean, people were bringing their RVs.
Right, but the little like kind of trailhead that we were following was a razor, since they had a headlight in the front. The golf carts did not have headlights. So here I am. So Rocco, my boyfriend, is driving, and I have my iPhone light trying to figure out where we're going in this trail, because you could only really see like maximum dimly 10 feet in front of you, and they get hilly back there. So we're kind of like trailing behind this razor. It's the razor, then 2 golf carts, and behind us was another ATV with a big headlight. Mm-hmm. So there's this, first off, we get to this point where we're all stuck because the trailhead is just too tight. Not even the razor can get through it. So the razor just peels straight through, like the tree comes down. It's like, it was a young tree, but the tree comes down and they like build like this kind of trail for us to follow. That should have been warning sign number 1. Of that,
I didn't
like,
hear this whole story.
No, you didn't. And then, so then we continue on and we're like, you know, having fun. We're laughing hysterically because we all know that this is probably not the best of ideas. And we get to a certain point where they yell back at the golf carts and saying, hey, golf carts can't come this trail. You have to turn right at this fork. So meanwhile, we look back. There's no other golf cart. It's just us.
It's gone?
It's just, yeah, they're gone. It's just us. So we like turn right and we go up this crazy steep hill. And me and Rocco are like cheering on this golf cart because it's like the little engine that could, because it's going, he's flooring it. And we're like bringing up this, and we're going so slow, but we're cheering on this.
You're
golf
leaning
cart.
forward.
Like, yeah, go. No, part of me, I even like stuck my foot out, and we're just trying to like push up. We finally make it just at like 5 feet to the top of this little plateau, and then we would have been able to get to the, you know, the trailhead and continue back down. Nope. We were stuck like 5 feet away from that little ledge. And now the golf cart is sliding backwards.
Oh,
it does not have more momentum. It's exhausted.
It's done.
So we're trying to get out. We're trying to push it up the thing. It's impossible because it is, I can't tell you how steep this was. And all of a sudden, I don't know how Rocco pulled this out, but he must have taken some like stunt double car trick thing because he just like posted in reverse. He flips it, like basically like just a little bit off the trail. Like he puts it in reverse and then flips it forward and is now driving down the hill. And I was like, okay, great. And that was after we had to like move a big old rock in order for it to like
oh my
it was
goodness
crazy.
gracious.
It was absolutely crazy. We finally make it down. We're like noticing this, mind you, this is the first time he's ever in these trails. And also this has been years since I've been in these trails and I've never even known them, like really known them. So we're trying to find our way back with our iPhone and not having anyone else around us.
Oh
we can
gosh.
just hear in the distance that there's ATVs and like they're having hysterical time. So we turn on one headlight as, you know, because it's kind of his and my song, you know, with one headlight.
Oh, it's a song. Okay.
Yeah.
Not a
so
the headlight.
No, with the iPhone, I start playing that on Spotify and I'm like, okay, we're going. And so we're hysterically laughing as we finally make it back. We find the other golf cart and we pull up right on time that we're playing this song and they're dying laughing at us because they're like, oh my gosh, you would just pull up with the most perfect song of one headlight. And yeah, so that was our story. We nearly didn't make it, but we did. So.
And I'm in my tent trying to sleep.
Yep.
And I'm like, you guys, you said you were coming down to the gathering, right?
We were planning to until my cousin Jared said,
crazy.
We pointed over to the ATV and the Razor and we're like, what are they doing? Where are they going out? We should like jump on with them, thinking like, oh, we're going to get on the ATV. No. He goes, here. He throws us the keys to the golf cart. He goes, here, follow them. Just make sure that you follow someone with the headlight so you know where you're going. And that was all the direction that he gave us. But he made it seem like, oh, this is a great idea. So that was that. And we made it. And yeah, that was the end of the story.
Well, so I'm thinking, where did Alex go? I'm laying in my, tent. Like, where did they go? I don't know. All of a sudden, a couple hours later, I hear you like zipping the tent open. I'm like, okay, they're back.
We made it.
They're back. I didn't see any ambulances or things, but and then the next night, after the band was over and we were done cleaning up.
Oh, and I forgot. No ambulance, but the golf cart ran over my foot.
Oh, what?
When it was sliding down.
Oh,
but it was fine. It was just like, my little pinky toe.
But then we went out the next night, and I'm with you,
Mm-hmm.
and they are and Andrew is on the back of the golf cart. Oh, with you.
Yeah.
Rocco's driving. This time he's got his headlight on.
Right.
He's got his
headlamp. Yeah.
headlamp.
Which
and
was minutely better.
And this moon's coming up and we're in this big field where there's like all this wheat and all this grass. And all of a sudden we get passed by this really old, dilapidated minivan
with all of the doors like ripped off of it and the trunk wide open. There's no more chairs on the inside, but it's just 10 people in there, 12 people in there.
Jake said, because when they got out after what I saw them do, because the idea, one of my nephews bought this thing for $400 just
to run it around like crazy.
Around the farm for the farm party, and they were doing like
donuts
with 12 people sitting in the back, and all of a sudden I'm like, and it's 1:00 in the morning, and we're back there, and I'm like,
this is not a. This is
I'm
again
be the adult here and
this
think,
is not
okay,
a great idea.
Let's head back to the campsite.
Yeah, it was hysterical. Yeah. I mean, just the country.
Anyway.
The country. What did Andrew call it? This is some bougie country stuff that's happening right now, because it's like, who buys a car just to like tear off all the doors, throw your friends in the back and do donuts? Like, oh my gosh. So yeah, it was absolutely crazy, but I was so happy to be on the golf cart that night and not in the minivan.
Or the razor that hit a tree and yeah.
So anyway, it was
the big
fun.
bonfire. I mean, it was just fun. It was just super fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is our story of the Burning Dude trip. So I hope you all enjoyed and stay safe out there. All right. And don't forget to share our podcast with anyone that you love. And we will see you next week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I say go do you. Now travel far, share your stories and earn your scars. It's you. Say you are the one you will answer to when this life is done. Don't waste a minute, jump in the river. Wash yourself clean so you can deliver you. The story of you, the story of you. The story of you, the story.